Hello students, welcome to this video lecture. In this video lecture, we know the statement and proof of Lagrange's theorem and also its consequences. First, let us we know the statement of Lagrange's theorem. Lagrange's theorem states that if G is any finite group and H is any subgroup of G, then order of H divides order of G. Now, here first let we consider, let order of G is equal to N and order of H is equal to M. Here we have to prove that order of H divides order of G. First, we shall show that M divides N. That is, N is equal to K into M for some integer K. Since the group G is finite, there are finite number of right or left cosets of H in G. Let G have K distinct right or left of cosets of H, and these are HA1, HA2, HA3, so on HAK, which implies G is to H, which is equal to K. We know that any two right left cosets of H have the same number of elements. In particular, H itself is a right left coset of H in G. Since order of H is equal to M, each right or left cosets of H will have M elements. Therefore, also we have G is nothing but HA1 union HA2 union HA3, so on HAK. Thus, G is the group which is the union of all right cosets. Therefore, N is equal to order of G, which is equal to order of HA1 plus order of HA2 plus order of HA3 plus so on order of HAK. Or we write that order of HA1 is nothing but order of H. Similarly, order of HA2 is nothing but again is order of H. So on order of H. We write K times order of H, or we already consider that order of H is M. Therefore, K times M. Therefore, N is equal to Km, or we write K is equal to N by M. Therefore, which implies M divides N, or order of H divides order of G. Hence the theorem. Now, corollary of this theorem, that is, the index of any subgroup of a finite group is a divisor of the order of the group. That is, index of the, now here we prove the corollary. Now here, that is, index of the subgroup H in the group G is the number of distinct right or left of cosets of H in G. Let the index of H in G be K. Now here we take index of H in G be K, that is GH is equal to K, which implies GH is equal to N by M. Since N is equal to Km from Lagrange's theorem, therefore G is to H, which is equal to order of G by order of H, which implies order of G is equal to order of H into G is to H. Hence, the index of the subgroup divides the order of the group. Here we noted some points related to Lagrange's theorem. That first one, the converse of Lagrange's theorem is not true in general. That is, if G is finite group of order n and M is a positive integral divisor of n, then G need not have a subgroup of order M. The second one, it follows from the corollary that the number of distinct right or left cosets of H in G is equal to order of G divided by order of H. Now we know the consequences of Lagrange's theorem. The first one, if G is a finite group and A belongs to G, then order of A divides order of G. That is, if A is an element of G, then order of A divides order of the group G. That is, the order of an element of a group, finite group G, divides the order of G. Here first we consider order of G is equal to N, A belongs to G, and order of A is equal to M. Clearly M is finite as G is infinite group. Let H be a subgroup generated by the element A, that is, then H is equal to A and order of H is equal to order of A, which is equal to M. By Lagrange's theorem, order of H divides order of G, that is, M divides N, hence order of A divides order of G. The second consequences of Lagrange's theorem is Euler's theorem. If n is any positive integer and a is relatively prime to n, then a power phi of n is congruent 1 modulo n. Here Euler's theorem states that if n is any positive integer, n is any integer and a is relatively prime to n. Relatively prime to n, it means that the GCD of a and n is always equal to 1. Then a to the power phi n congruent 1 modulo n. We know that the set Gn of all positive integers less than n and prime to n is an abelian group under the multiplication modulo n, and its order is phi of n. Let A is equal to Qn plus R, comma Q, comma R belongs to Z, R is greater than or equal to 0, less than n. By data A comma n is equal to 1, which means that A is relatively prime to n. It means that GCD of A and n is always equal to 1, which implies R comma n is equal to 1, which implies R belongs to Gn as R is less than n. By the above corollary, we have R to the power phi of n is equal to identity of Gn, which is equal to 1. Now A is equal to Qn plus R, which implies we write A congruent R modulo n, A congruent R modulo n, which implies A to the power phi of n congruent R to the power phi of n modulo n. We already know R to the power phi of n is 1, therefore which implies A to the power phi of n congruent 1 modulo n, hence the theorem. Next, the third one, Fermat's theorem. If A is any integer and P is any positive prime, then A to the power P congruent A mod P. Here we observe two cases. First one, let A comma P is equal to 1, that is GCD of A and P is equal to 1. A and P are relatively prime. Then by Euler's theorem, we have A to the power phi of P with congruent 1 modulo P, but phi of P is equal to P minus 1. Since P is prime, therefore we write phi of P is equal to P minus 1. Therefore A to the power P minus 1 congruent 1 modulo P, which implies A into A to the power P minus 1, which is equal to A into 1 modulo P, or which implies A power P is A power P congruent A mod P. Hence the theorem. Next, in the second case, let GCD of AP is not equal to 1, Now the GCD of AP is not equal to 1 and P is a prime, which implies P divides A, or which implies A congruent 0 mod P, or which implies A power P congruent 0 to the power P mod P, or which implies A power P is equal to 0 mod P. Also we have 0 congruent A mod P, since P A implies P divides minus A, which implies A power P congruent A mod P, hence the theorem. Okay, thank you.